It's been about 7 months since I had a nervous breakdown, pause, PTSD, woke up in the Matrix. What I have learned and why I believe there is a God without any doubt now. A couple of months before my breakdown, I started really posting about PTSD and sharing a meme every day about it. I have a lot of veteran friends on here, and it breaks my heart the suffering they have to live with. Little did I know I also had it. I just didn't realize it yet. I thought I had MS. My health had been steadily declining, as well as my mental health. My breakdown was a wake up call. Since about 2 weeks after I woke up feeling like an alien in my own home, strangers that understood me started gravitating toward me on Twitter, X. Friends found me one by one in different ways. They noticed the pain in my eyes and recognized it because they had the same pain. Never the same circumstances, really, but the same ache in their souls. Sharing my suffering and insane thoughts, mostly through music, helped me in ways nothing else could. The only comfort I had for 3 months was music and Twitter, constantly in my headphones, full blast to be able to function at all. I had friends share music that helped them or that they thought would help me. Other friends that would joke insanely inappropriate humor with me because they knew it's what I needed and would DM me in the middle of the night when they would see me up again, counseling me, laughing with me, helping heal my tortured mind. What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of the Shots Fired podcast with DP. I am your host, Despop, aka Jay, last name Simino, or occasionally Simaho. That opening post is from one of my favorite accounts, Mel, and I appreciate her sharing her story. Sometimes I get so caught up in growing my account and impressing much larger accounts, and I lose sight of the reason I started an X account. It was for moments just like this. PTSD is very difficult to treat because doctors suck and the approach is often one size fits all. The problem is our PTSD comes from completely different situations, usually being born from incidents in which death is almost 100% certain. I shouldn't have survived what happened to me, and for years I wish I hadn't. As Mel pointed out, while facing the demon, as I call it, she can't imagine how veterans deal with it. We always wonder, how can I be sick when I didn't serve? They must surely have it worse, right? But there is no worse. It either is or isn't, yet doctors treat us all the same. The reason why we're not the same, in my opinion, is because our demon came to be in completely different circumstances. Sure, soldiers often experience PTSD as a result of battle, and so their triggers might be similar to each other. I was law enforcement, and although I've seen my brothers die in the line of duty, they all were buried in open caskets. I never saw a colleague completely fucking liquefied before my eyes and had to bury them in a mason jar. But it's not only the circumstances, we're all different because our fears are different. I was always petrified of the dark as a child. So, what happened after I was afflicted? As a 30-something-year-old male, I had to sleep with the light on. I couldn't sleep in silence as a child, even in the cold of winter. I needed a fan on or some sort of white noise. Decades after I grew out of that, it was back. I got hurt over 19 years ago, and I haven't slept without sound on since, just like when I was a kid. It's our childhood fears that come roaring back to us, and because they all differ, we react differently. And our doctors only care about us coming back in 2 weeks with another copay. Going on a little bit of a tangent here, but you all saw what happened in my former state yesterday, just one city over from where I was a cop. How much money did the medical profession and Big Pharma make off of this fucking freak? We all know that not a single doctor, especially in that blue cesspool I used to call home, did anything to prevent this dude from going down that path. They coddled him and reaped the financial rewards. Now there's 3 dead and more in serious condition fighting for their lives. Doctors truly fucking suck. And they're no different when it comes to PTSD. So because we're all different, it's not often that I come to know someone like Mel, who although didn't get sick under the same circumstances as me, has found a comfort in dealing with it the same way. When I try to explain how I took control of my demon, it's just a suggestion. I started this channel because the first step I took was to make myself embarrassment proof. My greatest fear my entire life is rejection. To this day, hasn't changed. And nothing feels like rejection the way embarrassment does. Judgment from others. So I decided that I had to put it all out there as a challenge with the understanding that anyone who might not agree with my approach can go blow their dad. They obviously either don't need the inspiration or are too chicken shit to try it. Like Mel, extremely inappropriate humor somehow became soothing. Another thing I did was I made promises and contracts with myself in the beginning, like, I can't end my life until this or that happens. One of them was I needed to see Tom Brady win another ring. That almost fucking ended me because I got hurt Christmas Eve 2006, and a year later, the Patriots are 18-0 going into the Super Bowl, and I absolutely would have honored the contract. I often blame myself for that loss like I jinxed the Pats. By the time they beat Seattle in Super Bowl 49, I was out of that contract phase. I know it sounds ridiculous, but if it worked, who gives a fuck? Another thing that happened to me was I reached back into my childhood to a time where I was very creative. Like Mel points out, music was a big influence in helping her come back from hell. All of a sudden, I found myself captivated by visuals and music. That might sound pansy and corny, but again, who gives a fuck if it worked, right? I am embarrassment proof. Quick story from my youth, I was going to be an artist at one point. I always wanted to follow in my father's footsteps in law enforcement, but art would have made a cool side gig. And I excelled as a cartoonist from a very young age, but I could draw absolutely anything. I once drew an image of Larry Bird that my father was convinced I traced from something. I could mirror images exactly to the point where I got the exact size and scale down. You could place my drawing over the image and it would line up perfectly. One time in school, I remember a couple of classmates accused me of tracing images. So one of the kids opens up a Sports Illustrated which had an image of Michael Jordan in mid-flight dunking. And in under 15 minutes, I drew that image in front of everyone. And mine looked just as real as the actual image, and when they placed it over the magazine photo, it lined up perfectly. No one in class ever questioned me again. One time I won a national art contest and was presented with an award at a ceremony by a sitting U.S. senator at the time. So with that, my father found out about a course that was open to people of all ages at a prestigious art school, Rhode Island School of Design, or RISD they call it. I was like 9 or 10 maybe, so he registers me for this class, and on the first night he drops me off and I walk into this old historic college building on the campus, and eventually an adult points me in the direction of the class. So I go and I sit way in the back and I have this massive pad on an easel and I'm just waiting. Then some grown-ass dude walks in wearing a robe and he stands on a platform in the middle of the room and drops the damn robe. I didn't know pubic hair existed until that moment. 2 fucking hours go by and I put nothing on paper. I was so traumatized. I wanted to draw Mickey Mouse and everyone in the room is drawing some hairy naked dude. When my dad came and picked me up, he asked how it went and I told him about the dude while fighting tears in my eyes, and my dad said, "What did you think art was?" I never fucking drew again, gave it up completely. Going back almost 2 years ago now, when I was at my lowest with my own off-duty piece placed against my temple, coming out of that, I am truly now convinced was God alone. Well, something changed in me. Part of it was having to find a new doctor who was seriously disgusted by the fact that I was on 2 SSRIs, with one of them being in a daily amount way beyond accepted recommendations. And it was ruining me, it turns out. He had me make the proper adjustments and my brain instantly took off. My friends and family wanted to perform an intervention because they honestly thought I was on meth or yayo or both. I totally became cornholio to the max. But what they didn't care to take notice of was that for the first time in almost 2 decades, I never had a negative thought. Sure, I was bouncing off the wall, but my Lord, was it all positive. I couldn't get angry if I tried. Something surely switched on or off in my brain, and I was full of pure positive energy, and I turned inward and I put a leash on my demon, and my life has projected constantly upward ever since. So then I started an X account to connect with the anonymous, because those I was closest to couldn't appreciate my progress, or maybe it was after seeing me suffer for so long they didn't believe in it, like they were just waiting for me to turn back to the old ways. So I cut them off. They don't deserve this me. I'd rather put it into people that I will never truly know and therefore cannot be a threat to me. You can judge me in the negative all you want. It won't affect me. I don't know your real names. I just put on my bone conduction outer earbuds that allow me to hear everything around me while playing my favorite music on low. I don't even pay attention to the songs half the time, but I know them by heart, and it helps me keep a rhythm. It slows down my thought because even if I'm not paying attention, part of me subconsciously knows when the bass guitar is going to kick in or mayhaps the drum solo. And just like Mel, the music helps just by keeping my rhythm in line. It completely stabilized that severe ADHD I had when the change in me occurred. I'm no longer Cornholio now. I leveled off completely. That uncontrollable energy was just a combination of me ending that SSRI and putting a leash on my demon, who turns out was just an overgrown puppy that loved going for walks, dragging me all over the place. That music, that creativity came roaring back to me. Now I put it all in my segments. I get a high by creating my own show graphics, very much like an old school cartoon. I don't AI anything. I build 2 or 3 of the same graphic and I change the colors in each. Then I manually alternate the frame so it looks like it's flashing back and forth like a moving cartoon image. I can't tell you what that does for my brain. Some of you know I also started a small personalized swag business. How you doing? Some of you even received a ton of free shit at my expense, which is killing me financially, but I do need the practice. And more than that, I also create my own graphics for those projects. And when it comes out right, my dopamine is spiked. So please consider visiting the link in my bio and helping me pad my measly pension. Mother's Day mugs to be revealed soon. Also, more shirts and hats will be added in the coming week. Anyway, I have so much more to add just to this topic that Mel helped motivate, but I'll do it in another show because I don't have the talent to hold your attention span, at least not yet. So let's move into something I try to get into with each show, the final call. On this date, February 17th, back in 2006, Officer Earl Hardwood Scott of the California Highway Patrol was shot and killed while making a traffic stop northbound Highway 99 south of Hammett Road in Salida at approximately 4:30 a.m. Officer Scott stopped a vehicle that he had observed speeding on northbound Highway 99. Officer Scott approached the vehicle and obtained the registration card from the driver. As Officer Scott walked back to his patrol car, the suspect opened fire, fatally shooting him in the head. Passing motorists who was also heading north saw the officer falling to the ground and the suspect car speeding away. The witness exited the freeway, turned around, returning to the scene where he called authorities on a cell phone. When backup officers arrived, they were able to identify the suspect's car by the registration that was still in Officer Scott's hand. Officers were able to find the suspect by identifying the car. He was arrested and charged with murder, although he claimed that his car was stolen and he hadn't committed the crime. The suspect had an extensive criminal record, including arrest for robbery and assaulting police officer. In August 2010, he pleaded guilty to Officer Scott's murder and was convicted and sentenced to life in prison plus 3 years without the possibility of parole. He cannot appeal this conviction as part of the plea agreement. Officer Scott had served with the California Highway Patrol for 5 years. He is survived by his father, stepmother, and sister. His father and 2 uncles retired as sergeants from the California Highway Patrol. One of Officer Scott's cousins currently serves as a sergeant with the California Highway Patrol. Also, on this date, 1926, Trooper Charles E. Ulrich, New Jersey State Police, was shot and killed while on an undercover assignment at the French Hill Inn, located at 344 French Hill Road in Wayne Township. He and another trooper were assisting the Passaic County Prosecutor's Office to conduct an investigation and gather evidence on several disorderly houses. While at the notorious brothel, their identities became known by the proprietor, his brother, and an assistant who opened fire on the troopers. Trooper Ulrich was killed, while his partner was hit with his nightstick and seriously wounded. Trooper Ulrich managed to shoot and seriously wound the proprietor, who had shot him. The proprietor was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 30 years. He was paroled on June 28, 1935. His assistant was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years. His brother was apprehended in Berwick, Pennsylvania, on May 22, 1931. Trooper Ulrich was a U.S. Navy veteran and had served with the New Jersey State Police for 2 years. He was survived by his wife. May they both continue to rest in peace. And we'll end as we always do with the timeline cleanse. But before we get into that, remember, folks, if you're struggling, stop, breathe, survive. Later, bitches.
Get him, Jay.
I'm not a cop.
You got DP'd.